I've been playing Minecraft longer than some of you have been alive. Oh god, I'm old. And Minecraft has changed a lot over those 10 years. And mostly, it's been a very positive change. However, there are some things that have perhaps been left behind. And that's what I'd like to talk about in this video, things that I would change in Minecraft. Now, this video is not a complaint video at all. This comes from the heart of someone that's been playing and loving this game for many, many years. So you know that any alternatives that I propose for changes in Minecraft, they come from the heart, and I've really thought quite hard about them. So strap in, there's a lot to cover, and I want to preempt this video by saying that I know that Mojang probably know about most of these issues, and this is simply my opinion. It holds absolutely no weight whatsoever. But it's a fun discussion to have, and Minecraft is going through a metamorphosis at the moment, so I thought I'd share my thoughts on things that I encounter as a more hardcore player of Minecraft. I play every single day for many, many hours, and there are just some things I gotta get off my chest. So, strap in, let's start the video. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is villages, villagers, and trading halls. Now, they've been an established mechanic in Minecraft for quite some time, and they've been through quite a dramatic evolution. From just NPCs that are walking around and doing nothing in empty villages, in fact there were only 2 villages per world at the time, to a fully functional village with multiple occupations. So, what's the problem? Well, the issue is with the end goal, which is a trading hall. Unlike other farms, which mostly give you access to just a few items, the trading hall gives you access to most items in the game. Crucially, it gives you access to diamond gear and armor, which completely undermines the value of diamonds. 2. Although unfun and extremely frustrating, the barrier to entry to making a trading hall is actually quite low, to the point where you can have one up and running fairly quickly. 3. You can infinitely trade emeralds round in a loop and have infinite items. The only barrier is time, and it doesn't really feel great to treat villagers this way. Staying in a 1x2 box is no way to live. So why do people make trading halls? Well, it's because of the ease and the access to so many items. Those of us that play Minecraft every day, this is the most efficient way to get lots of items quickly, even though it's less fun. So how do we change this? What would I like to see instead? Well, I would like to see villages become what they were intended to be in the first place. A village. I want to see the player have to defend a village manually. Maybe they need to create some barriers against mobs, but also grant the villagers access. Perhaps the wandering traders go from village to village, but it's important for the health of the village that those wandering traders are able to get from place to place. I would like to see the player provide the village with resources such as logs. The villagers then take those resources, whatever they may be, emeralds, etc., refine them within the village, and then give the player a worthy investment back. Now, there's obviously a balance to be struck here. It has to be worth it, but to see the player actively help the villagers to improve their houses, maybe make their pathways a little easier for them to get around, and create a proper village environment, rather than locking them away, provide them with different resources, and have a proper progression of tiers and timeline with these villagers. So I basically want to see them foster an entire ecosystem and work with the village in its entirety, rather than just taking all of these individuals and endlessly trading emeralds with them. It's a different approach, it's very complicated, and even more difficult to make worthwhile. That's the bit that worries me the most. At the moment, it's too worthwhile to make a villager trading hall, but in the past, villagers have been pointless because it wasn't worth trading the emeralds, which were hard to get. So there's a balance to be struck here, but I think they can do it with a little bit more broad thinking and trying to think of the village as a whole as an ecosystem. A similar concept was proposed by Tango many years ago, who made a mod on Much Better Villagers. Now, while I don't think that the modded approach is perhaps Minecrafty enough, I think Tango was on to a winner. he had exactly the same idea of trying to create a proper functioning village, and it's definitely worth checking out those videos as well, as a proof of concept, if you like. Okay, so that was quite a big one. Let's do a couple of smaller things that I'd change in the game. Let's do a quick demonstration. Here I have a netherite pickaxe with efficiency 5. Let's mine some stone. It's pretty quick. Pretty quick. Now let's mine some glass. It's slower than stone. Now let's power up the beacon and give ourselves haste 2. And you might be able to tell where I'm going with this. Let's do the same exercise again with the stone. Instantly gone. Now let's do the same with the glass. It's a little bit faster, but it's still painfully slow. This is glass. It should break easily. The logic doesn't follow. One of the small changes I'd make to Minecraft is please make glass a bit easier to break, and definitely make it instant mine with a beacon. Now another small change that I'd love to see in the game is regarding music discs. This is such a tiny change that I'd love to see, but it's still one of those things that you could have a lot of fun with. At the moment, the only way to play a music disc is to place it in the jukebox by hand, and you can enjoy some other side bops. Now there's nothing wrong with this mechanic, so what would I change? Well, the issue is, once the music's actually finished, the only way to turn it back on is to right-click it and re-enter the music disc. So what I would love to see is the ability to activate it with redstone. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The ability to play music with redstone would be an awful lot of fun for us on SMPs, but also it'd be fun to create little contraptions to play your collection of music discs remotely and create something that's a little less manual. Now, let's move on to the real reason that I made this video. And I'm trying really hard to not make this just a complaint video, but I've got to get this one off my chest. This one leads me to be incredibly frustrated multiple times, and I have had to disconnect from the server because of it. And it is the inventory. Now this is the amount of space that Minecraft has always had in over 10 years of being developed. But let's do a quick comparison. Here is all of the blocks in a creative menu from a very early version of Minecraft. As you can see, there's about less than 100 items and blocks, and there was more than enough space in the inventory to deal with all of these items. Let's take a look at the items today. It just keeps going, and going, and going, and going, and going. There are over 600 items now. That's over 6 times what it used to be, yet the inventory has stayed the same. Now, shulker boxes have been an addition that have improved things ever so slightly, but there is issues with this. One is that you actively have to place down the shulker box, and they occupy one of your very precious spots. And there are also so many items now that this game has become mostly about inventory management, and so many hours can be wasted clicking items here and there. So, the inventory. This one is not an easy fix, but hear me out, I've got quite a few suggestions on how to improve it. Now, I think there's been a certain degree of overthinking when it comes to the inventory. This is the same amount of space we've always had, but I don't see any problem with just as a core, just as a baseline, increasing this. This is what it would look like. So hear me out, this is a little bit rough around the edges, but it's just to give you an idea. This is what it would look like with 17 added slots. That is 2 on either side and 1 more row. And keeping the 9 original inventory spots. So it only really matters when you've got your inventory open. This would go a long way to remedying some of the issues with the inventory. Now, obviously, you'd probably rescale this a little bit and tweak it around. You may have also noticed I've got 2 buttons here. What are these buttons and what do they do? Well, I'm going to point ourselves over to a completely different game for an example of how to deal with inventory issues. And that is Stardew Valley. Take a look at this. They've got 2 buttons in their inventory. One is organize. You click this button and it consolidates all of the items of the same into the same stack. And they've got another one called transfer, which is the arrow. You hit that arrow and everything that can go into the chest goes into the chest, into that stack. These two buttons would be a lifesaver for Minecraft. Hit the organize button and your inventory instantly fixes itself, or organizes itself in a sensible way. Maybe it will take a little bit of finessing to make sure that it organizes itself in the best way possible, but it's so much quicker than having to manually click item to item to item. And definitely the arrow for moving all the items out of your inventory instantly. This would save many hours and so much frustration for players. Now, this is just one idea. There is a creeper coming up behind me while I'm... No! There are a few more things that we can do to improve the inventory, but for me, this is the biggest one. Just make more slots available. Yes, it may just be a bandage on a much larger issue, but I've got a few more suggestions in conjunction with this, and I must stress this enough, we need more slots. There are other things that can be added. So we mentioned about shulker boxes. Well, why not be able to right-click a shulker box while it's in your inventory to open it up and shift things around? That would go a long way to stop the endless dragging in your inventory, dragging something out. It would just give you a lot more access. Don't like that one? Okay, there's more. Now, this may not be a popular idea, but it's still an option. Minecraft has iconically had stacks of 64 its entire life. And there's probably a really, really good reason why, but maybe it's time to revisit that. We have a lot more items in the game. Things like Terraria have stackable up to 1,000, I believe. You can have way more items in one slot. Having the ability to save yourself spending multiple slots on the same block. I realise that one may not be ideal. The 64 item thing is totally iconic, and there's probably game rules behind the scenes in the code that means that this is not a favourable idea, but I thought I'd just put it out there nonetheless. And the third idea is a backpack of some kind. There's been multiple mods of this. Another item that you can get. Now, I have got a third idea. Remember how we just talked about a bigger inventory? Well, why not make it so that you can earn that inventory? So, what if some of the slots, some of the new slots, are blocked on your Minecraft world, and you have to earn them through doing something? Maybe it's something to do with the Deep Dark, maybe it's big things like killing the Ender Dragon or the Wither, and they unlock these slots. So imagine you've just gone into the Deep Dark, you found some magic thing, or enchanting something or other, and it unlocks these things. That would give the Deep Dark an amazing purpose, and it would encourage the player to explore. Something that isn't always necessary in Minecraft if you get a good enough seed with everything around you. But if you spread out the reasons to unlock the inventory, maybe various different things in the world, like a woodland mansion, some of the temples, all of those things, they could all unlock part of your inventory, making the game easier as you progress. So anyway, these are the ideas. The issue is inventory too small. The quick answer is make it bigger. The bigger answer is make it bigger plus some extra steps. I feel like there are lots of things that you're able to do, but please add an organize button, add a transfer button. Those two things in Stardew Valley save hours. They would fit really well in Minecraft. Now, for this next one, I'm on the Hermitcraft server because there are some really great ways to demonstrate my point on this server. So, the big one that I want to talk about is connected textures. Minecraft for the longest time has had these big old square boxes, particularly around glass, but there are other blocks as well. Now, for the longest time, I've been using mods to connect these textures up to make the world more appealing. Now, there is a lot to be learned from the mods that people keep picking up time and time again. And I would like to demonstrate why I think connected textures, in general, should be implemented into the game. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. It's the way it's always been. It's just one of those visual things that's a preference. But I would just like to demonstrate why it works so well. So, this is the Villager Storm that we built on Hermitcraft, and in particular, Scar did all this hard work. Now, this is all made out of glass, as you can see. This is without connected textures. Big old grid patterns of glass. Now, watch what happens when I turn connected textures on. We have ourselves a much, much better looking storm. Everything flows wonderfully and, I'll be honest, is more accurate. Glass doesn't have a grid pattern on it unless it's got actual, metal in the middle. Most panes of glass don't have a grid pattern on it, and it's one of the big visual changes I would love to see in Minecraft. Now, on a similar vein of thinking, there's another feature that we've had on the Hermitcraft server for quite some time. I'm lost. That I genuinely didn't know wasn't in vanilla. I didn't realise that we had altered the game a little bit. And once I'm on vanilla Minecraft, I'm like, oh, that's frustrating. And it's such a quick fix. So, what is it? Well, it's the simple ability to be able to re-dye things like glass, terracotta, wool, etc. In the normal Minecraft game, you can't re-dye something that's already been dyed or recraft it, and even mixing them up. Obviously, this is just in Java. I honestly don't know what it's like in Bedrock, but this is such an amazing feature that I've become so accustomed to that I think it's a genuine shame that it's not in the real game. Obviously, this doesn't affect me because we have these changes in Hermitcraft, but I thought I'd share that this is a feature that was so ingrained in me, that I didn't even realize it wasn't a real feature, so I really would love to see that implemented in the real game. Now, for this next one, it's all about building. Now, you guys know I'm a builder in Minecraft. It's the main thing that I do. Now, in Minecraft, we have plenty of options for building in 3 dimensions. We can go outwards, we can go across, and we can go upwards. But when it comes to trying to build something underneath, when we're building something floating in the air or a build in general, getting access to the block underneath is only possible in one of 2 ways. You can jump off and try and place a block and then have to fly back up, or you can go down to the bottom, scaffold up to the top, and painfully make your way up with scaffolding. The scaffolding one is more appropriate for things that are going to be a bit bigger, but if you just need access, the flying ones are your best bet for just getting that 1 block underneath, and then you can access it like so. So, this is a little bit of a problem for Builder. It's a minor frustration. So what can we do about it? Well, why not use vines or something similar to scaffolding where you can place the vine like this. Imagine you can place it again and again. And then once you've got a couple of blocks underneath, just by placing some vines, you can then go under, crouch without falling, and you'd be able to build properly. So it might look a little something like this. You go down the vines, it's still pretty dangerous and easy to fall and mess up, but you can then place underneath, go down a little bit, place underneath, go down a bit, and you would have access to more blocks than ever before. And of course, if you run out, oh dear, you fall down. Now, this is just a suggestion on one way to do it. There are multiple ways of solving this particular issue, and there may even be a custom block or new block that could be added that solves this particular building issue. Scaffolding did a good job in some ways, but it still limits that access from below. Now, while we're in creative mode, there's another little thing that I'd like to add as something I'd like to see be able to change, and that's the ability to change your speed as you fly. If you're in creative, sometimes you want to be able to move a little faster than the default, or maybe even a little slower. Now, in spectator mode, we can speed that up by scrolling faster and faster and faster, and we can get through things a lot quicker. Or if we want to go really slow, we can really get that down to the point where you can't move at all. Having this in creative mode would be a really, really nice addition, and you could do it by holding control and scroll. Now, I don't even think spectator mode is available in Bedrock, so Bedrock versus Java is another issue entirely. We're not going to get into that today. I have vanished. A short video I thought this was going to be. Turns out there's quite a few things I'd like to see changed, including these things right here. Now, I'm partially responsible for these, but if you've played Minecraft, you know that these things are pretty awful to the gameplay experience. And I'm guilty for voting for these mobs all the way back in 2017, but did you know that the addition of these mobs was determined by just over 2,000 votes? That's not a lot of people. But now that they're in the game, yeah, I have to admit, I would like to see them changed. I just don't think it's good for gameplay. They feel disruptive. If you're playing the game and these guys spawn in their masses and they swoop down on you and interfere with things. So, do I want to get rid of them? What would I change? No, I don't want to get rid of them. They are content. They do have a use. They drop Phantom Membrane. I just think they're in the wrong place. I would like to see the Phantoms moved here. An end city. So imagine you're in the end, which is a very challenging place to be, and with each end city, there's a finite amount of phantoms. Now these would force the player to tackle these things very differently, because if you were hit by a shulker box with these things flying around, you've got to take these out first. They are so dangerous. These may even prevent people going straight for the ship at the start. It does make it a far more challenging thing, and it fits in a bit more thematically. Although, I must admit, I'm just not a massive fan of the Phantoms, and I deeply apologise for playing my part in voting for them. Moving on, we are in spectator mode because we're looking for the next thing I would like to change, and they are absolutely everywhere except when I need to find them. And here's what I'd like to change: the good old dungeon spawner. These have not changed, again, like the inventory, since the birth of Minecraft. And although iconic, I'm not sure anyone would be upset to see a big overhaul of the explorable content that poses a threat. They are very useful, and I don't think the spawner in general should be removed. They are very, very good for XP and items, but I do think they should be slightly more challenging to get to. I even made a video ages ago on how these could be changed, although I would definitely do something completely different for their design. But that's another thing I'd like to see changed or adapted or improved. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is kind of a double whammy. So we're going to talk about beacons and netherite items. So at the moment, beacons do exactly the same thing no matter what they're made out of. Although, I think I know which one I'm going to choose to make it out of, because these two are exceptionally expensive. Well, what if these beacons offered something that they don't? So maybe these can give you your haste 2 and all the things there, but maybe if you went as crazy as to make a diamond or a netherite beacon, it could give you a little something extra for those of us extra hardcore players. Now, at the same time, I want to talk about Deep Slate and the diamond economy, because at the moment with haste 2, you can insta-mine stone. But you can't do that with Deep Slate. It's still painfully slow to mine, even with haste 2. And you know as well as I do, while you're mining for diamonds, you'd really hope that this would be a little bit faster. The addition of Deep Slate has essentially removed using a beacon as an effective method of mining, meaning that you're only left with strip mining down at bedrock, whereas before we used to have the option of using lots of beacons and then just mining out in a big sort of dome type shape. But now the best way is the most mundane way, and I've got to say, it's a lot less fun and therapeutic compared to what stone mining was. So I think there's an opportunity here to somehow, between the beacon and netherite items, to change up the value of diamonds and the economy of Minecraft, and potentially giving netherite items a bit more oomph. What if a combination of a beacon and a netherite item, such as a pickaxe, gave you the speed that you used to have while mining before? Or even without the beacon, a netherite item could mine deep slate as fast as stone used to be. Mojang clearly had their reasonings for these changes, but from a user experience, mining for diamonds was already pretty painful. Now it's extra painful, to the point where I'm just gonna go straight to that villager trading hall that we talked about earlier. It used to be fun and therapeutic while it was stone, but the deep slate introduction has kind of tainted that. So while we have cobblestone and cobbled deep slate in our inventory, it's in a weird state. You see, cobbled deep slate, for the most part, acts a little bit like cobble in certain situations. For example, I can craft a pickaxe using cobbled deep slate. However, I can't craft a dropper using cobbled deep slate. For that, I would have to go and use normal cobblestone. But I can make a furnace. I can even mix and match. This is a little confusing. Either cobbled deep slate should be the same as cobblestone or it's not. So I would really love to see this changed, where cobbled deep slate is used in redstone recipes and everything else that cobble is used for. I have a feeling that this was perhaps just an oversight and it wasn't intentional. Otherwise, I really don't know why it would be that way. Now, this video is almost finished, but these two things are two things that I don't have a suggestion for. Everything else in this video, I've had a really reasonable idea of how I would actually like to see these things changed. But for the last two, I don't have the answers. I just want to voice that I would like to see them changed. So the first one is bats. There's a couple of mobs, such as bats and polar bears, that serve next to no purpose in Minecraft. Now, you might argue that these are atmospheric, they should add to the world and the ambience, etc. Except I don't feel that they do. I don't really feel like I come across a bat enough, and they're just kind of there and annoying and cute and squeaky. What I would like to see them change to is very similar to the parrot. See, the parrot equally doesn't really have a use other than it's super fun. You can tame them, they sit on your shoulder. Oh my goodness, the first seed. It was meant to be, pesky bird. And they sit on your shoulder and they dance with you when you play music. This serves no functional purpose, but they're so fun, and this really entices people. But the polar bear and the bats, not so much. I would love to see some sort of interaction, make these mobs interactive in some way. I just don't have the answer on what that is. Now, the last one, I'm going to go on the Hermitcraft server, and we're going to do a little experiment, because it regards PvP. So, the last thing is PvP. So I've asked Scar here to be showing his abs off. I've asked Scar here to demonstrate with me. We're doing a little bit of a... Hey! We're doing a little bit of a battle here. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is what I would like to see changed. Now, I'm pretty sure Mojang already know that PvP is a problem in Minecraft, and that's why people stick to the old combat system. But basically, it's so painful to fight anyone in this game at the moment. When you're all geared out with the proper gear, it's just kind of painful with the enchantments. Especially if you've got golden carrots. So, let's see how long this takes. Okay, so that took a really long time, and if you've got Elytra and other things, it can take even longer. Now, here's the thing. I don't actually have a reasonable suggestion for what it should be, but I would like to see a full rehaul of the PvP system. I think Minecraft would definitely benefit from it. So that is it for some things, because I didn't include everything in this video, that I would like to change in Minecraft. Now, obviously, like I said at the start, this is just my opinion. I don't expect the entire game to change. I expect this to have almost no impact whatsoever, but I thought I would share these ideas nonetheless, in the hope that maybe someone will see it and agree with me, and maybe it's the first step towards reasonable change. Now, I know for a fact that Mojang know about a lot of these issues and probably have their own ideas, and it's just coming down to how much time they have available to put towards these things. And I know I don't speak for everyone here, but I definitely speak for some of my peers on the YouTube scene, but a quality of life update for Minecraft would be extremely welcome. And if anything, please add some more slots and an organize button. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you think or what you would actually like to be changed in Minecraft. It has to be something that benefits everyone and not just your personal experience. I've spoken to many of my friends who play Minecraft day in, day out, and everyone really resonated with some of these issues. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.